obviously your life will suffer imbalance. So dis-ease, disorder, disorientation, discomfort, you're not relaxed. It doesn't keep you in the state of stability, equilibrium, homeostasis.
We are live on Facebook.
100%.
Okay. Rajendra, I believe that you would always be in a state of anxiety. You know, if you get a message, you are anxious. You don't get a message, you are anxious.
Yeah. But if one knows how to regulate your breath and regulate your composure, then you can transcend that.
Correct. So we will tell people that whenever your boss is calling, don't immediately pick up, but send a message saying, I'm composing my body. I'll come back to you when I'm ready.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you have a right to do that.
We will have to create employment opportunities fast than that.
We are live on Facebook now.
Let's start.
Yeah.
Sir, please start. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the second webinar of this year 2022, organized by NIPM Mumbai Chapter. I welcome all the participants, all the speakers who accepted our request to be here on this forum today. Thanks a lot. And just to tell you a little about NIPM's present progress, where we stand at, NIPM Mumbai Chapter membership is progressing gradually upwards, and membership discount is valid till March end 2022. So please hurry up, those who are not members. We pray that we reach endemic stage at the earliest, and we meet all our members offline at the earliest at various platforms, which will be organized by NIPM Mumbai Chapter. Welcome once again, and thank you for being with us. I'm sure everyone is looking forward to listen to our great gentleman today with Adil Malya as moderator. Thank you very much. Over to you, Adil.
Good, and thank you very much for inviting us. It is such a pleasure to be out here harmonizing this, as of now, potentially looking very intelligent and a learning opportunity for us to listen to both Mickey, my friend, and also my friend Rajendra Barve. And, you know, both of them really don't require any kind of introduction. Mickey is practically every day, 5 different newspapers. He is all present out there, page 3, page 5, film stars, and everyone else. You know, he's coaching them, he's giving them tips on good health, etc., writes books, and does a zillion things. And so does my friend Rajendra, available wherever, not only when people have those psychological challenges and problems, because he's one of the best known psychiatrists in the city and the country. And therefore, people don't approach him only when they have a problem. They actually approach him how to avert and avoid problems. So he's always there writing columns. He's always there doing his TEDx speeches, and always out there. So we thought it as a very, very appropriate opportunity for us, considering that now that the city and the country are opening up from the post-pandemic situation, for us to invite these two gentlemen and talk to them and use this much more as a kind of a chat show, more as a conversational kind of a platform to ask questions and get the responses to this growing challenge, because pandemic is not the end of all the adversities that the world will be facing. So, you know, in line of that, we are going to be asking questions to them. As a matter of housekeeping, my only request is that whenever you have a question, please put it on the chat between Taudeji and Salil. They will, you know, go ahead and record it so that, you know, we will prefer you to ask more questions, because that is where your engagement and your learning will happen. And the purpose of some of these seminars that we are designing is actually much more for you to learn from these discussions and conversations. And then, therefore, it will be great if you can ask your questions and we will engage in meaningful discussions. So with that in mind, let us begin. I was thinking, let's, Rajendra, give us some top-line thoughts on, you know, the world is changing. We have gone through these experiences, these desperations, the psychological traumas and challenges. What are your top key-line thoughts on mindfulness, and how is mindfulness going to be impactful? What are the criticalities? And, you know, we have been hearing in the post-pandemic period, every alternate forum and a webinar is talking about, you know, wellness and mindfulness. Why are they talking, and why is it so important?
Very good question. Thank you very much, Adil, and thank you very much, everyone, for this wonderful opportunity to meet people across board and this forum of NIPM. It's always pleasure to interact with Adil. We have done a lot of work together. That TEDx talk is unforgettable. Coming to your question on well-being and mindfulness, it's very, very relevant. In fact, if you ask me, mindfulness is what has kept my body and soul together. I suffered from COVID. I had severe problems in deglutition. I really couldn't swallow anything, not even a sip of water. That was the time when I realized this is my moment of truth. This is my moment when I need to work on my mindfulness. And I remember I see you in Nanavati, and I was sitting and I was saying, what do I do next? This pain which I experience when I'm swallowing is only a moment, and that moment is going to pass. Moment that sip of water, a drop of water is going to go down. And I did that. I took a long deep breath. I swallowed it, and the pain was definitely less. The pain may have been there, but the anger and the anguish and the angst that I had in my mind as to why should I have? I've been given 2 doses. I've been taking so much precaution. Still, why should I get? All these thoughts stopped. I just had that moment of pain and it passed away. So if you ask me, mindfulness for me is a very, very personal telling experience. Now, going beyond that, what is mindfulness and what has got to do with the current times? Pandemic is only an opportunity for us to talk about mindfulness. It has always been there. It has been there in this world for last 2,600 years since Buddha talked about mindfulness as Samma Satya, of being aware of every moment. Now, what he said is very true because it's a fear-driven community in which we are living. And the fear is more essentially because of the pandemic. Otherwise, the fear is there everywhere. It's kind of ubiquitous everywhere. Every moment you see, it's like walking on a minefield. So that fear is the one which is a driving force, and it drives us to distraction where mind is constantly wandering, either going in the past or in the future. We are never in the present moment. And why do we say that? Because mind, when it goes back or in the future, it always, it's like a ulta rally race. A rally race is where you give the baton to the next person. You go ahead, give it to it, and he takes it forward. No, in mindfulness, in wandering mind, what happens? You go in the future and bring back all the anxiety that you might experience, all the danger that you may have. And when do you experience? You experience it now. That's what keeps you occupied. And that's a very painful, wandering mind is very unhealthy mind. Now, we've been blessed with this because our mind has to be very, very alert. 2 things. It has to be alert because it wants to find food. At the same time, it doesn't want to get eaten. So don't get hunted, just hunt. So that kind of alertness is very, very important. Abhi Kabir ji, 800 years back, made a very beautiful doha a beautiful poem about it. होशियार रहना रे नगर में चोर आवेगा. होशियार रहना रे नगर में चोर. So it can come at any moment. That means be aware that the chore can be around. So this alertness shouldn't be hyper alertness. Should be just alertness, just being aware. So that is very, very important. And if you want to experience it, I'll just give you right now, if all my participants are here with me this moment, I'm going to ring this bell, which is Japanese bell for mindfulness. Just ring the bell, just hear it completely. Now, what do? You just focus on the ringtone and it goes slowly disappearing. And if you focus your mind on that disappearing tone, you will be with the tone. That means you are with your ears, you are listening. And that's very important. That means your mind is not wanted. So just, if you can hear, listen to this. Okay. Now, if you practice this with your closed eyes, mind focused on the tone, you will stay with the tone and you will feel that your mind is here. Very, very important that you live this moment and be completely focused on it. I'm bringing various disciplines. In Bhagavad Gita, there is one shlok which I always quote. When Arjuna asks Shri Krishna, how do I do it? You give me great gyan. 2nd chapter, 6th chapter, 18th chapter, you give me great gyan. How do I practice it, my dear friend? How do I practice it? And he says one shlok. Sparshan krutva bahirbahyan chakshuche antare bhruvoho prana apana samau krutva nasabhyantara charino. Just one shlok and Gita is over. Sparshan krutva. You are touching everything and withdrawing yourself, and your mind is focused here. That means on the Ajna chakra. That means on the prefrontal cortex. Your memory, your emotional cortex, emotional amygdala is taking a back seat. Bahir Bahyan, you have left it outside. Nasa Bhyantara Charino, Prana Pano Samau Krutva. You just focus on the in-breath and the out-breath. And what do you experience life as? Movement of the air through your nose, in and out, in and out. That's the complete reality. This moment, if you can remain focused, you are focused on the breath. That means you are focused on the Ajna chakra, and then that's it. That is in nutshell mindfulness from Kabir to Buddha to Shri Krishna to the present moment.
But Rajendra, also the fact that, lots of time when we are talking about mindfulness, the references to the fact that people tend to carry their emotional baggages into future transactions. So whatever I may have experienced with you in the past, this current transaction is based on the emotional baggage I get. Versus the reality is that when I'm transacting with you, I should be in the here and now, be mindful only of the current. And Absolutely. If I carry that baggage, I'm creating toxicity, which is going to be poisoning the body.
Right.
So
I would say, yeah, I agree with this. I call baggage residue. Residue. It's like आप चाय बनाते हो तो चाय छाननी से you throw it away. You don't want it because one single small leaf in that cup of tea spoils the taste. Similarly, we need to give away residues every moment to moment so that you are calm. And not only add one more point. In mindfulness, it's just not being present in the moment with compassion, with willingness to connect with love and affection and trust. So mindfulness is just not being present in the moment with a complete knowledge and compassion.
What about empathy? Is empathy also required at that point?
Compassion is one step ahead of empathy. Okay. Empathy is only understanding what you are thinking, what you are feeling. Compassion is I'm going outside myself. I'm just extending my hand to you and holding your hand and saying that, look, we are together. So there is something known as interbeing mindfulness. That means you are not just mindful of yourself. You are together. We are bonded together as human beings. We are vibed together. Emotions are same. And that's a beautiful interbeing mind.
Beautiful. Very good. Got to learn a new concept, which I was not aware, Rajendra. Thank you very much, for sharing and giving us this knowledge. Very, very
My pleasure.
Mickey, coming to you, want to certainly share this thought about seamless spirituality that you have been talking about. And of course, wellness is very critical, but what is this concept of seamless spirituality that you constantly keep bringing in? So give us some thoughts on that.
As per the Vedic text and understanding of seamlessness and spirituality, it's about emptiness. It's only in the emptiness, the spaces of emptiness, the akasha, that your spirit can be present. When your mind is full of hatred, resentments, despair, anxiety, fear, phobia, insecurities, there is no room for spirituality. So it's a complete Western understanding as when they say mindfulness. The Eastern, the Sanatan Dharma people, they've always referred to akasha, the khalipan, the empty space. Now the empty space, the qualitative understanding of that empty space is emptiness. And the further quantitative understanding of emptiness is wholeness. And in this wholeness, which moment to moment can become seamless. So now let me tell you, so it's a contrarian view. So mindfulness is equal to madness, because all the negative thoughts of the world are filled in your mind. Emptiness is cleansing, Shuddhikaran. And in emptiness, the Zen philosophy says that empty your mind, mind the emptiness. Empty your mind of the junk and fill it with the light of awareness, the light of spiritual seamlessness. And this is all not about extending out to the vision, extending out to the touch, extending out to the audio, to the olfactory. That is moving away from the center. Bringing your life back to the center. It is being centered. So from circumference to center is spirituality. On the circumference, the madness of this world, the mindfulness of this world. You want a sound, you want a vision, you want a touch, you want a taste. Withdrawal.
But mindless, more than mindful.
Mindless. But this is not the mindless of the mindless chicken.
Okay.
This is the mindless of the qualitative nature of being of emptiness.
True.
So when we say something is whole, it's not about that whole, it's about the wholeness. When we say zero, shunyam, it's not about the shunyam, it's about the shunyam quotient. It's the qualitative. So, I mean, in yogic principles, there are 4 breathing patterns which can take you to that position of stillness. So one we say purak, that is you breathe in, inhalation, then retention, kumbhak, then exhalation, rechak, and then suspension, shunyak. In that suspended state, when you are empty, let go. Swayam mein sthit, swayam mein upasthit, swayam mein hona, or swayam ko hone dena. If your mind is full with things, your self will never be able to express. Now this self is self-referral internally with pratyahara. So pratyahara, dhyan, dharana, samadhi is the ladder of evolution, which can only happen when your mind is empty of the junk and filled with the light of awareness. And that light of awareness is actually emptiness. Emptiness is, your screen is empty, there's an opportunity for the canvas to get painted. If your mind is empty, there's an opportunity for creativity. If your mind is empty, there's no fog, there's an opportunity of a very clear-cut vision, not only of the 35 kilometers of the horizon, which you see in straight line, but looking beyond the eyes, beyond the clinical vision. So emptiness takes you to the profundities of your being and makes you see things layered below the layers in all perspectives of life. And then empathy comes. Because of which empathy comes? When you consider yourself one with the nature, when you consider yourself connected with the nature, because spirituality, there is no other. In spirituality, there is no dvait, there is no dvand, there is no duality. In spirituality, in the center, there is only you and you, the universe. And whatever is happening in your universe is happening to you, and only you and you are responsible. So swikriti. And because there is swikriti, there is samarpan. And because there is samarpan, we get support and integrated support from the universe. That is called samarthan. And because there is swikriti, samarpan, and samarthan, there is santulan, which is the balance. When you get completely in the equilibrium, then you become samarth, capable, potential. And once you get samarth, you become saksham, champion. So if you want to be a champion, move from the circle to the center. If you want to be a champion, move from the circumference to the center. Circumference, all the fullness is there, sound is there, touch is there, taste is there. You're moving away from the center. But when you return of the memory of wholeness is called meditation. It's another name for meditation. And one more thing. So in the state of being centered, that Purnameda, Purnamadhe, that Sanskrit shloka, this is complete, that is complete. Wholeness leads to wholeness. And when wholeness is taken away from wholeness, still remains wholeness. So which means emptiness, you can keep taking anything from the universal womb and it will keep giving you, because if there is something, that something will get over. If there is a definition, once you've defined it, there is a limitation. Once there is no definition to that eternity, once there is no definition to that oneness, once there is no definition, then there is no match to it. Then you are beyond, then you are in the realm of quantum world.
So Mickey, if you were to, in a sentence, try and explain seamless spirituality in light of this background, how would you put it?
Okay, so seamless spirituality is not possible without emptying yourself. So there is a Sanskrit word called rikta. Rikta means empty space. And empty space is full of akasha, of pure potential of being and becoming. So you being the driver of consciousness, being the Harry Potter of your life, becoming the choreographer of your change, you can then be a participant or a collaborator of change. That's number one. So rikta. Now from rikta, there is another word which takes birth called rita. Rita means the elementary qualitative being which has a regulatory potential of all the Panchamahabhutas. There is something which is regulating this whole universe, the movement of the energy. Okay. Then that comes to Rita. Then after Rita comes Ritambara Pragya. That means the ever-changing scenario, but the center constant being the constant. Mm-hmm. Now from this word has come the word Hriday. Because Hriday is in rhythm. This world is in rhythm. At the hub of the rhythm, there is stillness. But while the sceneries keep getting changed, you remain constant in Kevalya. And that constancy is the seamless spirituality.
Lovely. I think you linked it up beautifully with the several concepts and linked it up. Rajendra, you wanted to say something?
I just want to add a couple of words.
Sure.
It's very simply said that a good health or good well-being is known as swastha. Aswasthata. So what is swastha? Swaye tishtati iti swastha. One who is centered in the swa, like what Dr. Mickey said, is that one who is centered in the swa, in the self, is stable. And that is, this is how swastha will mean. And there is another beautiful concept which comes from Buddhism called Karunya Garbha Shunyata. Karunya Garbha. The Shunyata, which emptiness, which is talking about Akasha, is actually full of Karunya, is full of compassion for the world. Now, very important that we understand this. And the application of this Karunya Garbha Shunyata became so relevant in the current times, essentially because if I protect myself, I am protecting everyone around. If I wear a mask, I'm protecting myself, but I'm also protecting other people from getting infection in case I have. So very simple act of wearing a mask very diligently would mean that you are in that seamless spiritual experience because you're respiring through the mask. You are taking what you don't want to take anything that is outside, which is unpleasant, unwholesome inside. So a very simple act. When people ask me, why do I wear mask? I said, it's a very spiritual experience to wear a mask because then you are completely compassionate with the world and compassionate with self. So these are such wonderful, beautiful concepts that we have inherited in our own land, in our own mitti ka hai apne, sona hai wo. We are kind of, there is word which is commonly used, we are McDonaldizing it. That means we are making it so simplified. So simplified, yeah, that it becomes in a McDonald's. You just pay $1 and you get something, which is not what, you need to do work for that.
So Rajendra, in fact, in line of what both of you have been saying, I was reading an article very recently on swasthata, and they're saying the very easiest definition is a one-sentence definition is saying, cleaning the hole in the hole.
Yep.
Cleaning the hole in the hole. And that's what it's all.
When people say mindfulness, are you supposed to throw away everything? No, I would say very first thing, find out what your mind is full of. Then you empty. And because that ek baar kachra nikal diya, so every day you have to take bath, every day you have to broom.
Correct.
Every day you need to keep it clean. So it's not just doing it once.
So the beauty is it is not filling the whole of the hole, cleaning the whole of the hole.
Cleaning the
That is the beautiful part.
Absolutely.
That's very nice. So I think, in fact, coming to you on this question, when we are talking about wholesome happiness, everyone is saying, your happiness is an outdated. The newer concept in what most HR practitioners today talk about is called flourish, where the happiness, I can make you very happy by not making you work and paying you a high salary. You'll be very happy about it. But flourish is when that happiness is converted in you giving a reciprocal happiness also to the enterprise you're working for. So when we are talking about this concept of whole happiness or wholesome happiness, Is it an all-encompassing kind of a thingy which covers mindfulness, welfare, wellness, spiritual, physical, emotional, psychological, mental, all-encompassing happiness? Can you compartmentalize it differently, or it has to be one connected to the other?
So let me enlighten you on this, that happiness can never be whole, because happiness is born out of duality. Because wherever there's happiness, there has to be sadness. So there is a tenet of Tao Te Ching, which is the tenet of Tao. So Lao Tzu propagates something like that you can't expect in polarities to have one and not the other to follow. So happiness, no. If there is centered being, in the being of wholeness, being centered, it's joy. Joy has no opposite.
Correct.
Bliss has, Ananda has no opposite.
Correct.
So now this is very, very, very management oriented happiness. And for people who don't understand the word wholeness, will always use one polarity, happiness.
So all our corporate programs on happiness and all actually are devoid of this larger understanding of the concept.
Absolutely.
So Rajendra, what do you feel?
Yeah, I entirely agree with you. Now, you can say it's kind of an offshoot of going beyond mindfulness or going beyond this is the concept of positive psychology. Now, very interestingly, now I come from that main background of clinical psychiatry, clinical psychology. It's a path-breaking idea of people to say that we are done with this repair business. We want to construct. So I really like your word flourish. So we are into constructing realities for ourselves. And that reality is that flourishing of reality. And this is not just a single individual's flourishing. It's a community which flourishes at the same time. It's like a renaissance moment in self as well as in the community. So Seligman talks in terms of mindfulness as a base. It's a broad base of the pyramid. And as you climb, you get 5 things. You get positive emotions. And again, as very rightly said by Mickey said that if I say positive, there has to be something negative. So when I say I want to be positive, actually what I do is I learn to handle my negative feelings. I know how to handle them. Mindfulness talks about impermanence of emotions of negativity. They come and go, being able to observe. So positive emotions. Secondly, it's just not saying it, but engaging oneself. So the second letter that he talks about is engagement with the commitment of remaining in this state and spreading it around. Third, the whole thing comes from what? It comes from this seamless spirituality. That is, it comes from the relationship that we build around. Then it comes to the fourth thing that he talks about is the meaning. What have you found yourself? It's a why are we doing all this? In Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad, there is a beautiful, just 2 lines which say it so beautifully. Yadeva karoti vidyaya shraddhaya Upanishada tadeva bhavati viryavattaram. I quote it very often when I do management programs. We want to be viryavattar. We want to reach excellence. Now, how can we reach? There's just 3 things. Yadeva karoti vidyaya. Vidya is knowledge of the outer world. It's not just gyan. You must know what you're dealing with. The best kind of knowledge that you can acquire it. Shraddhaya, be confident about it. Have faith. Build trust within and outside. And lastly, Yadeva Karoti Upanishada. Now the word Upanishada is so beautiful. It talks about Upanishad. That means you sit down, literally sit down. Upanishada is a dialogue between the Guru and the Chela, the Shvetaketu and his teacher. So you sit down and you ask, why do I am doing it? Why am I doing it? What is the purpose that I need to find in my own life? So finding meaning in whatever that you're doing. And lastly, focusing, this particularly for management, not focusing on mere achievements, but what have we accomplished? Because there are times when we may try to achieve, but we will not achieve, but we'll accomplish many things. It's like people who try to, climb Everest. At the last moment, they say, no, you can't do it today. You have to come down. Otherwise, you'll just die.
Correct.
So they have not achieved so-called success. But my dear friends, they have accomplished so much. They have accomplished that you're almost close to it, but you're not getting it again. So accomplishment, you gather so many skills about yourself and about the world. So these are the 5 things. It calls it PERMA, P-E-R-M-A. I've given it a twist. I call it Prema, Prema. So P-R-E-M-A, which is closer to us. Prema ladki ka naam hota hai, to acha lagta hai, Prema.
Rajendra, where is your wife?
Yeah. Positive emotions, relationship, engagement, meaning, and accomplishment.
Lovely.
And I've added one more letter to it. I call it A Prema. So A is for that awareness. A Prema.
Lovely, lovely. Very nice. Very, very positive way to recall it.
Yeah. Very easy to remember now.
No, this is a general question to both of you, Mickey and Rajendra. And this is where HR guys, I must take the blame on behalf of all the HR guys. We generally tend to do very shortcut, very fast, favorite, popular programs in our corporations, where if you talk about mindfulness, it is about calling maybe a Rajendra or someone else to do a session, one-day session on mindfulness. And he gives you a theory and thoughts and, a couple of quotes from Upanishads or wherever. And then the poor audience goes away thinking, okay, now we are mindful. Or, you call someone like Mickey and, talk about wellness. He gives you a lot of sessions. He gives you a lot of energy boosters. He again talks about shlokas and all. And again, the audience goes away. So these are the kind of programs, popular ones, because, we have this to-do list of 50 programs to be done in the year and okay, done. Now, the question is that really organizations with an intention to be wholesome organizations creating value will have to seriously do wellness and mindfulness. So how do you believe between the two of you, organizations, what should they really be doing to create this awareness for wellness and mindfulness?
I think people should be initiated into the process by incentivizing their performances, looking at the graph of the wellness improving on every quarterly basis. So there have been corporations in Japan and America in the last 2 decades. They've embraced an HR system where they evaluate people's wellness. This is even pre-COVID, by the way. By the way, this was happening, and in their assessment, they were incentivizing people who walked very well, who played a sport, who ate very well, kept their weight down, who had zero absenteeism, high morale, great involvement, great creativity because they were fit and healthy. So this needs to be brought in, and the initiative should be I've been camping at various corporations in the last 10 years, of course, not in the COVID, where 3 months at a time, I've been at various corporations, making sure that I make people work out. I make sure they eat healthy. I make sure they breathe out all the stress. I make sure they breathe in all the energy. I make sure they still and compose themselves. I make sure their self-conviction, their fears, phobias are wiped out. So those 3 months are good enough to deal with. Only giving jargons and only getting speakers and, speaking to them, and by the time they reach home, the influence of that thought process is lost. So how you do it, that faith in action. Faith in action.
So at execution level.
Execution level is very, very important. I've been very, very fortunate to be working with the top companies where people have invited me to be there pre-COVID, not in COVID. In COVID, I've done a lot of digital work. But pre-COVID, I've done a lot of work where I've camped. And now people have started inquiring once again for a 1 month, 2 month, 3 months. And my sessions have been Heal Thy Birla Corp, or Heal Thy Godrej, or a disease-free LIC, or a disease-free HDFC, or a diabetes-free HDFC, or a hypertension-free ICICI. So these have been various programs that I've been doing.
Sounds like corporate hospitalization.
Absolutely. But trust me that if an agenda is set, if your goals and mission and vision and your motto and objective is all clear, and the corporate embarks on a program, when it tells people that if you guys do it, not gun on the head that if you don't do it, no. If you guys do it, then these are the incentives.
But Mickey, let me share my personal experience for 1 minute. And the only time my promotion was withheld in Coca-Cola for 6 months from the position of director to vice president had nothing to do with my performance. And you'll be shocked. And I was all set. My promotion records were fantastic. My performances were very good. And I was called for an interview, and my promotion was delayed for 6 months because they found me overweight. So they had a prescribed health kind of a record, and anyone who was to be promoted, because they say that We are as a company investing in an asset called you, and you are the director of the company, and we cannot have you being put to risk, as a consequence of which, if your BMI and your other health standards are not in place, we won't promote you. And I literally had to get my other parameters into place to get my promotion. So certain companies are very, very mindful and do actual programs to be able to drive health, wellness, and mindfulness rather than just running some courses and sessions on it.
A similar story, I'll just take a minute. Sorry, Sergi, I mean, you can come in later. A similar story that I think it was, some 22 years back, when Mr. Anil Ambani had gone to the World Bank and he had presented the case of big projects for the Reliance companies. And he was very overweight. And the legend says that he was very, very gently reprimanded that, guy, you need to take care of your health because you are the driver. And if you're going to trust and bet so much of money on you, and if your health is not good. So I was fortunate that when he came back, he connected with me. And in those first 14, 15 months, he lost around 44 kilos. And today I can say hands down, he is probably the world's fittest corporate executive or a director. Hands down. Fittest, truly.
Physically fittest to me.
Physically fittest, yeah, physically. I mean, before me also he was fit. Even before me, he had the determination, but I mean, he's transformed himself from what to what, and discipline, unparalleled discipline. If this kind of commitment were to come in at every level of the corporate being, trust me, the India Inc. will rule as it is ruling. Yeah, as it is ruling, but we'll rule forever, to perpetuity.
Sure. Rajendra?
Yeah. I am quite taken by what Mickey said. Absolutely, I agree with him. Idea is that mindfulness, as far as mindfulness is concerned, it's a way of living. Mindfulness, even Buddha prescribes mindfulness, just not meditation. It's being aware of every moment. So there is something mindful eating, mindful walking, mindful working, mindful speaking. That means every moment you are aware, you are with yourself when you are eating. So it's very simple. I have done this with all my patients. Say, I eat more. So what do? I eat slowly, not slowly, but I enjoy every morsel fully. I just don't put 5 French fries in my mouth. I just take one. I may take a little longer. And when I eat it completely, अपने कहते हैं कि 32 time chew करना चाहिए. एक घास 32 वेळा खा. This is what my mother taught me. That means 32 times you chew it. What does it mean? It means you be completely with that moment of eating. Whatever that you are doing, are you there at that moment?
Being in the moment.
Being in the moment with the action. Just not inaction. Action, eating, walking, everything. So actually when Buddha was asked, what do? He said, when we are walking, we are walking. When we are eating, we are eating. We are sleeping, we are sleeping. So being fully present gives a completeness of that action and fulfillment, which is very important. What is happening is in all these things, one word that we have not used is fulfillment. I feel fulfilled, that fully filled with what? The moment I am fulfilled, my mind is full of that joy. So my craving goes down, my sadness, loss of that sense of that I'm not going to get it again, or I want more, the greed goes away because I'm fulfilled. My contentment is very important. I'm contented with this morsel, with this moment, this walk, this step that I'm taking. That's very important. So, and that's Adil, that's a culture. What we're talking about is not system. We're not talking about the structure of the organization. We're talking about the organizational culture, which imbibes these principles and puts them into action. That's why Google has a mindfulness room, that people who constantly come and talk about mindfulness and induce people to do mindfulness. So it's like, I think it's a LinkedIn. Last week I was at Bodh Gaya, they organized a conference with this person from LinkedIn. He said, we are linking, like what Adil, you said, we are linking everything to mindfulness. We are linking promotion to mindfulness. We are linking appraisal to mindfulness. Everything gets
Why that? That's only the corporate version. We are linking existence to mindfulness.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
existence is a much larger concept. But in fact, that is the link that, I wanted you and Mickey also to share some thoughts, because I think Mickey has got some request that you should be allowed to move by 5:45.
It's okay. I'll wait till 6.
All right, that's good. So that's good for us. He's mindful of our need to learn.
Very compassionate.
Okay. So, Mickey, the question that really comes to the mind is that people have thought that COVID is the be-all and end-all of the adversities the world will face. Now, this is just one event that is happening. There are many, many more adversities. There can be the Ukrainian war and its impact on us. There could be digital terrorism. There could be anything happening. We didn't know about COVID. Now, therefore, what organizations are not aware is that the pressures and vulnerabilities that come around with the adversities that come, unpredictable adversities, we have to ready our enterprise and our people to be able to cope with that vulnerability and anxieties which come with uncertain eventualities which may come up. How do you do that? So is mindfulness and wellness the way to create that general level ability to take pressures of vulnerabilities and anxieties?
So let me tell you that in Hatha Yoga, fundamentally the significance goes to the body. Okay, and the body ought to be strong, resilient, and tenacious. So would become your mind. That's what people say. And so would become your will. And so would become your confidence. And so would become your core. And so would become your creativity. So what happens? A well-circulated body, a well-breathed body, a well-stretched body is an open body. An open body is an open mind. Because when your body becomes flexible, your mind becomes flexible as well. And vice versa. And the openness of being, apart from making you not just not being vulnerable, but makes you very creative and forward thinking, makes you very adaptable. So what we need in the corporate environment is a stability of the body. So you circulate, you stretch, you breathe, you contract, make your body strong, make your digestion strong, make your cardiovascular function strong and profound. Thereafter, to complement, you must from activity to passivity, stillness, emptiness, composure, integration, allowing yourself to self-process, introspect, retrospect. Those are also important. And then inculcating the way of life of eating right, eating healthy. So ahar is very, very important. I mean, also taking cosmic nutrition. And when we say that yoga is the be all and end all in a way, it is because yoga is the way of life and yoga shows the way of life. Now, I'll give you one last example in a minute. That when in yoga, you sit into postures, what's happening to you? You're holding the posture. When you're holding the posture, the attributes of patience, tolerance, inner strength, dynamism happens to you. Your body is flowing. So compassion, empathy. Your mind is in here now, holding the posture, absolutely in the moment. So stability. So yoga, if embraced by all corporates diligently, will bring about visionaries who are resilient, who have foresight, who are tenacious, and most importantly, also empathetic, sympathetic, karuna, bhavna, all that will also come into it. I mean, sometime back, we were discussing positivity. In spirituality, there is no positivity, there is no negativity. You are in the center. Because if there is positivity, there'll be disappointments. If you are positive all the time, there'll be disdain. You will have resentments. Every time things will not turn out. So I always tell people, don't neither be negative, don't be positive, be optimistic. Okay, accept whatever is happening, allow it to happen, collaborate with it, and change what you can within your means so that you can optimistically participate in that moment, in that circumstance, and turn around.
Sure. Sure. Rajendra?
Yeah, I think we go back to the very simple word of yoga. Yoga is a noun from the verb yuja. Yuja means to join. What does it join? It joins three things: It joins the body, mind, and the spirit and the soul. They all come together and they are integrated into your being. So yoga word itself is so beautiful. It just encompasses like swastha. It encompasses all the philosophy. Everything that we have said is just one single word of yoga. Secondly, very importantly, we need to understand that ability to witness things is very important. Witnessing is very important. If you read Jataka Katha, Buddha, ye aise kar raha hai. And then he says in a very beautiful way, he says, even in the last janam, in the earlier incarnation also, he was doing the same thing. That means what? You are carrying the baggage over time. It's not just this. Forget about reincarnation stories and all that. But the idea is that you are carrying forward all the baggage that you have. And what you do is, in mindful moment, you become witness to it. You are not a participant. You are a witness. And that witness gives you that insight of the impermanence of these vulnerabilities. My vulnerabilities are what? My vulnerability is fear. My vulnerability is greed. My vulnerability is avarice. My vulnerability is sloth. All that comes basically from the fear of unknown or whatever. But understand that this is impermanent. And I must bring one more idea into it. And that is what currently the mindfulness has got, the meaning has gone beyond just experience. It has added two things. Number one, all that we do is the sympathetic activity. You know, the flight, fight response comes as a sympathetic activity. That means adrenaline and steroids jump into the body, and you are on the treadmill. Understand the positivity. P stands for also parasympathetic system. What parasympathetic system it does? It helps you to calm down. If flight and fight is sympathetic, calm and connect. You know, so beautiful. Calm and connect is parasympathetic. That means the balance, that what is santulan. The santulan is sympathetic, which excites, parasympathetic, which slows down in a very positive way.
Equilibrium.
A beautiful balance. And that is calm and connect. Just not calmness. It connects you to self and connects you to everyone. So if you understand the internal body physiology, that also makes tremendous sense because of mindfulness. One more thing that I would like to add.
Rajendra, I have a paucity on time, and I have
just one line. Just one line.
Right.
One line. Okay. And when you are in that state, creativity is something that is automatic, because you start connecting dots which were not connected. So creativity is a very important aspect, and a mindful leader is compassionate and also creative. So I think that is what mindfulness is all about.
Yeah. And one last question, which both of you, but very quickly, because we are already shooting off time. One last question is, what is the role of positive affirmations in wellness? And Rajendra, you take it on and tell us, what is the role of affirmations in mindfulness? What kind of affirmations are we talking about?
Rajendra, please go ahead.
Okay. Affirmations have really come back, they're offshoot of the self-hypnosis, auto-hypnosis, and hypnotic suggestions. It has come from that repair psychology business. Affirmations are basically affirming confidence in oneself. If you are in that unrepaired state, that you constantly harassed with these feelings of negative self-appraisal, just calm down and discover that you are the divine self. There is no one like you in the world. And you're born, that means you are born, खाने खाने पर दाने दाने पर लिखा है खाने वाले का नाम, वैसे दाने दाने पर लिखा है सुखी रहने का नाम. So you are that spirit, you are that spirit. And remember that you deserve compassion, love, affection, and success. Remember that. People tend to forget. So दो बार तीन बार करना पड़ता है.
Self-narration. Yeah. Self-narrative.
Yeah, self-narrative.
Mickey, you want to join in for how it is going to be used?
Yeah, so I'll just tell you that it is said and understood that a thought is very powerful and intention is very powerful. So energy goes wherever attention goes. And when we put our attention into the field, we energize it. And when we put intention into the field, we transform it. So this is the science of energy management and manifestation. Also, there is a Rig Veda quote which goes like this: we are what our deepest desires are. As are our desires, so will be our will. As will be our will, so will be our intentions. As will be our intentions, so will be our deeds. And as will be our deeds, so will be our destiny. So affirmations, thoughts, intentions, if done engaging your polyvagus nerve, your anahata, your manipura, your vishuddhi and your mastis, you're aligned. They are bound to come true, because that is sankalp se siddhi. Sankalp se shrishti. Sankalp is the determination of a man which can do the alchemy. At the end of it, I would like to sum it up by saying that the mindfulness, when gets neutralized, man's consciousness gets Mickey-mized.
Ah, super. You had to come. I was waiting for your Mickey Mouse statement to come out. Thank you so much. Very well synchronized.
Yeah.
Mickey Mouse, very well synchronized. Thank you very
Fantastic.
much. So I think with this, we come to a kind of a closure to this meaningful discussion. I must confess, this is one of those rare places where I got to pick up myself so much knowledge between two treasuries of knowledge on mindfulness and wellness. So thank you very much, Mickey. Thank you, Rajendra, for coming in. Salil, are there any questions that we have in the box which they can answer?
Not really. Somebody has asked a question. Mr. Rajesh Lombar, please excuse me. What is M in a prema?
Okay, meaning.
What M means?
Meaningfulness.
Yeah, meaningfulness.
Yeah, meaningful. It's a very famous story of someone building over a brick or a cathedral or a temple.
It has nothing to do with the Valentine Day prema.
Perfect. So I think great, Dr. Barve, and thanks to Mickey once again. And over to you, Rachana.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I'm actually spellbound right now. Actually, we all have got Mickey-mized. Thank you so much. So,
and with Rajendra, maximized.
And it was a great Barveism.
Yeah, seriously.
That didn't sound good.
But it is very important in wellness and mindfulness, joyfulness.
Yeah, the Barve word, the meaning of Barva is good. Barva is good. Vittala Barva, Madhava Barva.
I should allow Rachna to say her vote of thanks.
And Balyaism has brought in two great speakers today.
Actually, we have developed these two new concepts, Barveism and Mickey-mized. I'm so obliged, and I'm really feeling grateful to come to this platform to give a small vote of thanks. So on behalf of NIPM Mumbai Chapter, the members and all the participants, I wish to express my heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Rajendra Barve and Dr. Mickey Mehta to show us this, a kind of a beautiful synergy between mind, body, and soul, which I think all of us have forgotten, or rather we only remember either one or two synergies, but yes, yoga is a combination of all three of those aspects. And I think, right now at this moment, we feel that our spiritual quotient has really increased. Thank you so much, both of you. Dr. Rajendra Barve, specifically, coming to your, your session, which you gave certain very good inputs, specifically, when you spoke about mind, mind, when you said mind is like a pendulum, so it's a kind of a drunken monkey which sways from one end to other or from one tree to other. So, we need to get that mind, at a point of control wherein you need to focus and live for the moment, That's a very good message, sir, which you gave all of us. And I think we have learned a lot out of this, and we've already become mindful. And I think, it's like when you control your breath, nobody can steal your peace. That's the message which has gone from you. Thank you so much. And coming to Dr. Mickey Mehta, what can I say? Actually, I've got Mickey-mized. Thank you so much, sir, for your beautiful inputs. And, what you spoke about vitamin D, I think you spoke about vitamin discipline. That's very important. I call it vitamin D myself. And that's very important to get that into our day-to-day lives, because that's how you will feel healthy. And once your mind is healthy, automatically your health and your body will also become healthy. And what you spoke about pratyahara, that's like kind of withdrawal of your senses, or rather controlling your senses. That was a very important message which has gone from you, and all of us have learned something out of it. Because somewhere I feel that by controlling your senses, you are somewhere focusing also on your mind, and plus you are not blocking certain energies which come to you. So we should not block our energies and just let it flow freely. So to sum up in a nutshell, I would like to, just mention a shlok of Bhagavad Gita. Karmanye vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala hetur bhurma te sango stava karmani. In short, do your best, leave the rest. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this session. And I think I look forward for a lot more sessions from both of you, because personally, I have learned a lot since I'm from this field. Thank you so much once again. So let us all take a deep breath of gratitude and thank both of them. Thank you so much. Namaste. God bless.
Thank you, Rachna.
Thank you, Mickey.
Thank you, Adil sir. Thank you, Mickey sir.
Thank you, Adil.
Thank you, Rajendra Barve sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Barveism. Thank you, Sarish.
Thank you all of you.
Take care, all of you. And thank you all the participants for joining.
Thank you.